About something a little bit boring. While I'm talking to you, I'll show you some of the things I just did. Of course, the wiring on this kind of cleaned it up a bit. I still got to put the wiring cover on, but I'm going to order some of those wig nuts. I'm going to get those in stainless steel. So anyway, but I'm going to talk to you about something kind of boring but really important, and where people make the biggest mistakes in building their car is budgeting. You got to figure out, okay, I have about, if you were to build this car yourself, you'd probably have about $3,000 in parts, material, and labor to get it to this point right here, without doing the engine or the transmission. So if you need to build your engine, your transmission, an engine's probably going to cost you, a minimum is about $1,200. That's if you're doing everything yourself, and the parts, you get very inexpensive parts, and you don't have anything really much machined other than the crankshaft and maybe the line bore or something like that. And then your transmissions are usually up into the numbers where it could be $500 to a ridiculous number, especially if you start doing the big motor, which I'm going to talk about that towards the end. But let's just talk about budgeting first. I was looking at a guy's Bug, and he started out and he decided that he was going to restore it. So he took his pan off and he had it powder coated. This is where a lot of people make the biggest mistakes, is right in the beginning. And he went out, had it powder coated, sandblasted, powder coated, got a lot of the suspension stuff together, went to get it painted, and he had it painted, and all this stuff. And then he finally figured out he was going to be into a thing like $30,000. So if you're building your car that way, you better have a big wallet to pay for that. Okay, so if you're going to have a really beautiful, perfect paint job, you're going to try and get it done somewhere, you're going to spend 10 grand easy to get a really nice, custom, perfect metalwork and paint job. Easy. Okay, and you can't just go get new fenders. You're going to have to get used original fenders so that everything fits right. So, and that's just your paint job. Then you're going to have a couple $1,000s in rubber. If you're doing your pan, that's another, whatever, $1,500, and having it sandblasted and powder coated, it adds up really quick. You will be up into $20,000 to $30,000. No kidding. That's the truth. That's reality. And you have to know that in advance. Because what happens is, I end up buying these cars because these guys can't finish it. And I'll buy it for $5 grand, and they've got 15 in it. They can't finish a car. So, and then I'll finish it, sell it, but just because I don't want to see it sit in somebody's garage forever. But this is where guys make the big mistakes. You need to know what you can do, what you can't do, what you're willing to spend, what you're not willing to spend, and be real. Because if you make your mistakes in the beginning, talking about when you're starting out, you're doing your engine, you're doing your pan. A lot of guys make this mistake too. I'm going to tell you this thing about engines. They go out and they go, I want a really badass engine. Well, okay, if you want a really badass engine, you're going to have disc brakes, 100% guaranteed. You need to be able to stop that car because it's going to go fast. Okay, so you're going to have to get disc brakes, at least for the front, probably for the rear. So now you're looking at, that's $1,000. Boom. Now, so you just spent money, 8 grand on a 2332. You don't think I don't know all this stuff. I've built race cars and stuff too. I just don't like to do it. It's not fun. I'd rather do this. But I might build a turbo car. I'm thinking about it. That might be one. Who knows? I But I'm real with it. I know what it's going to cost. The transmission, you're going to spend almost as much on your transmission as you do on your motor. So you spend $8,000 on your motor. You go, wow, I'm going to spend $8,000. I'm going to drop $8,000. Well, what kind of trans are you going to get? Oh, you're going to have to spend. You're going to have to get a Super Beetle main shaft. You're going to have to get, welded third and fourth. You're going to have to get special axles to handle the horsepower. You spend as much money in your motor as you do in your suspension and transmission. So don't leave that out of your thoughts. Be real. Know that if it's going to cost you, if you're going to spend that money, $8,000 on your motor, you're going to have a $35,000, $40,000 car. You know that. So be ready to spend the money. If you can't, if you don't think you can, just don't do it. Don't even try. Just build what you can afford. Start. So if you go with a 1776 motor, you can use a stock tranny as long as you use you'll break a nose cone for sure. Okay, when you hit the clutch hard or something like that, you'll break the nose cone. So you have to put a tranny strap on it. And if you can use a stock transmission with a tranny strap with a 1776 with probably dual 40s or a 2-barrel, depending on which way you want to go. And it'll be fun, it'll be fast, it'll save you a lot of money. If you start going to 1914, then now you're starting to more torque, more horsepower. If you're going to go to stroker, then you're talking about super diff, Super Beetle main shaft. You're going to break stuff all over the place until you figure it out, and you're going to go, wow. In 5 years later, you're going to go, wow, Mike was right. He told me about this when I started my project, that I was going to have a $30,000 car, and little by little, it'll get you. You'll have that much money in it. So one of the things, so when you do your project, think about that. Think about where you're going to go with it. How much money do you want to spend? And be real. Because you don't want to go over budget. Because what happens if you go over budget, the car sits there. It doesn't get done. You don't get to drive it. You end up losing interest in it. Your wife bitches at you, hey, you never want to work on that car. You end up selling it to somebody like me for half of what you have in it. And, I don't like to do that either, but, I'm not going to let a car sit there like that if it's not half done. Just finish it up and sell it to somebody. At least it's not sitting in a garage. It's not a happy car. So, anyway, just thought I'd talk to you guys quickly about that because it seems to be something that I talk to people about, and that's where they make their biggest mistakes. It's like you go to a salad bar or one of those all-you-can-eat places, and you get 5 steaks, and you go, God, I'm really hungry, and you get 5, to Golden Corral, and you go there and you get 5 steaks, and you only eat 2 of them. You got 3 more sitting there. That's the reality. You're spending somebody else's money there, but I'm talking about you spending your money. What can you do? How much do you want to spend? How much are you willing to do? How much can you do? Do you think you can do all your welding and your body work? If you're going to have to send it out to somebody, you're going to have to budget. A minimum just for a cheap paint job is going to cost you $3,000 to $4,000 for a really cheap job, and it'll be some guy that'll have the car for at least a year because he can't work on it straight through for 3 to. I talked to a guy at the show a little while back, and he goes, "This guy's had my car for a year." I go, "Huh? Well, how much are you paying for your paint job?" $3,500, and I'm like, "Dude, the guy can't work on that car straight through. There's no way he could do that." Oh, because he wouldn't be able to pay his bills. He's doing you a favor by doing it for $3,500, because he's gonna have whatever 60 man hours in it, and he should normally get $100 an hour for that. He's only gonna get 50. So, think about that. You know, that's, and he's got to pay his light bill. He's got to pay whatever, you know, the secretary at the front desk. He's got to pay his spray booth permit. You know, there's so many different fees in there, and you're lucky to get it done. So realistically, that's what that stuff costs. It's very expensive. So that's why I'm encouraging you guys, if you're going to do your own paint job, make sure you make your neighbors happy, and do it at a time when nobody's around, and just be real quiet about it, and don't try and make it look so perfect. You know, do your buffing and your sanding and color sanding. You know, don't worry about the paint job. You know, buff it, put a lot of paint on it, put it on with low pressure, and you don't have as much overspray. You don't have as much smell. You know, there's just a million different things you can do to do it yourself and still get it done and still get it nice. But realize what you really want and what you are willing to spend, and start low. That's where people make the big mistakes, is they do all this crazy stuff to the pan, and then by the time they get to the interior. So anyway, the other thing I was going to show you guys. Okay, so that's where my budget was. Where could you guys save money on doing your own? One thing you could save money is you could get the cheaper running boards, but you're going to have to fit them on. Okay, you could save money by getting black rubber EMPI stuff. It works. You could save money by buying the EMPI door panels, $69 instead of $300 for these. You could save money by getting plain single color seat covers, not by TMI. They have TMI ones that are plain, and I think they're like $80 or something like that, maybe $100. And these were like almost $300. So that's, you know, $400 or $500 right there. You could save money on a lot of the parts. Really, I mean, the rubber you're gonna have to spend some money on for the chrome. Got to get good stuff. This stuff, it's worth spending the money to get the stuff that's the chrome stuff from Wolfsburg West. A few dollars. You can go to the swap meet and buy a lot of parts. One of the things that I bought at the swap meet when I was out is this was really rusted on the other car, on the original one, and I found these really good deal on these wind wings, and they're hard to find. That nice original latches, never been replaced, original chrome. These were in really good shape, both sides. They look like brand new. But go to the swap meet and buy used stuff. Right now, there's in Victorville or in Hesperia right now. If you're just watching this, today is what's today? Wednesday, February, whatever it is, the 21st. Okay, I think it is. Anyway, for a few more days in Hesperia, there is a huge pile of parts that has to be sold before it's moved. If you're interested in that, call Koch's over in buying stuff. Go out there. He's probably going to sell the stuff super cheap. He's going to get everything that's not sold is going to get crushed. So Koch's in where's he at? What's it called? Canyon Country area, over in that area in Southern California. He'll tell you who to call, where to go for that, and until it's gone. It's only going to be there about another 2 more weeks, and the crusher's coming. So the big shredder is going to come out and get rid of the rest of it. And we're talking about a good 2 acres of parts for all different years, bugs, buses, all kinds of stuff. So if you're hopefully you guys are watching this soon enough, and you could jump on that and go out there and get everything you can. And You could even buy a bunch of extra stuff and sell it at the swap meet and use that to help fund your project. I'm probably not going to have time to go out there. I'd like to go out there, but if I brought home a mountain of parts like that, my wife would freak out. I've got already too much stuff. So, but yeah, that's another way. Go to the swap meets. Go to Pomona Swap Meet. That's where I got some of these parts. I got really good deals at Pomona Swap Meet on the bumpers. And that's because I got good deals on the bumper. If I bought brand new ones, that'd be $1,000 on my project right there. Boom. So you know, I'm not kidding when I'm telling you 20 grand, 30 grand is not a unreasonable number you could spend if you don't watch it, if you don't really look at what you're doing and listen to the stuff that I've been telling you, how to save time and money. Guys, I see guys all the time. I've seen guys that have $50,000 in a bug, and they'll never get their money back ever. So everything I do, I'm ahead. So, but you know, I'm not really doing this to make money. It's more of a hobby thing. So anyway, just thought I'd tell you guys about that. Go get some of those parts, please. Koch's in Canyon Country area. He's up in Santa Clarita, something like that. Look him up on the internet and give him a call and say, "Hey man, I heard about this parts pile from Mike." He'll go, "Oh, okay, yeah, he knows me real well," and he'll give you the guy's number. Go out there and just buy a mountain of stuff, whatever you can. We don't want to see it get crushed.